episode number 111 with Mike in Paradise.
I got X-ray specs for eyes, I can see right through you.
Welcome to the Heads Up Poker Podcast. This is Steve Barton, and thank you for tuning in. Mikey, where are you coming to us from?
Rarotonga.
Latunga?
Rarotonga, which is a island in the Cook Islands.
Okay.
Which is a New Zealand protectorate, or I don't even know. I don't know where I am, Steve. Come on, I just jump on a plane. I do what people tell me to do.
You're 2 hours ahead of me, right? So it's 10:47 here. It's 8:47 where you're at?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Two hours behind.
I just saw a glimpse of this on Skype the other day when you showed me your view. And go ahead and describe it.
Well, my college buddy owns a beachfront little resort here with a bunch of bungalows, and I'm staying at a place that you literally step out the front door and you're in the ocean. So it's pretty damn cool. Tropical paradise, man. Yeah. South Pacific.
Oh my God! When you were on Skype and you're all, "Hey, check this out," and you walked out to your little patio or balcony or whatever it was, and turned the camera around, and I see a little rail that's about 2 feet tall that you step out, and then there's about 3 feet of green grass, and I think I saw a palm tree there somewhere, and then it's just white sand beach for about 30 feet, and then you're right there in the water.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
That's so awesome.
It's pretty great. And, lots of, cool exotic fish here. I've been to a few beaches on the island. There's still, what else have I done here? I've drank a lot and played a lot of poker, Steve, which is a problem because I'm hungover again today. So.
Are you really? Okay.
I pretty much let poker rule. I lost $400 at PLO last night.
Oh, we're playing PLO.
And, it's kind of funny. Well, my buddy was so excited to play poker, and I'm going to tell him I'm not playing poker week 2. Because last night I wanted to go out and, go to a bar and talk to some women. And my buddy, who was just absolutely blasted and everyone, they were, these guys are married or older or whatever. They're not looking to chase tail. So they weren't moving from this game. So finally at like 12:30 in the morning, at this point I was too tired to even go to the bar, but I was down $400 and drunk, and I missed a chance to go out and boogie last night, but that's fine.
Okay.
But it was fun. The great guys, all Australians, Kiwis, English, your typical mix of some Maoris are the names of the local indigenous peoples, I believe.
Yeah.
And, I've had fun. I went on a fishing charter, caught myself a mahi.
Oh, you did? Nice.
We actually had a marlin on the line. We reeled it in for 30 minutes before it broke free. He got off this damn, somehow the hook is like the size of a Datsun. I don't know how this thing got out of it. But.
How big did it like jump out of the water like they do in the films and stuff?
The mahi, no. Oh, the marlin, no. That's why, the marlin. Well, there was some argument. They're like, this was either like 120-pound tuna, or it was a marlin. They're pretty sure it was a marlin that just decided to go straight down rather than doing what it usually does. It was fun. I don't know what else. There is some. This is a volcanic island. They got some volcanic peaks, so. Get off my ass and do there's like a cross island hiking, little trail. I don't think I'm going to do that. Cool. Me and my buddy are thinking of renting a plane. Doing a little scenic tour of the island up and down, but I'll have to study the face of the pilot. If he's got some goofy ass Barton grin on it, like I don't give a shit if it crashes or not,
Well, how big is the plane going to be?
I'm assuming it's going to be like a little puddle jumper, a small plane.
One like the one we had?
Yeah, a little prop plane for,
Okay.
It probably holds 4 people or something like that.
Yeah. That'll be fun. You should do it. Yeah, you kind of have a fear of that stuff, right?
Yeah, I don't like those little planes. I mean, I don't,
Then do it.
Then
you gotta do it.
Yeah.
You gotta do it. Yeah. Good for you, man. That's cool. Fun.
So, yeah, Steve, I'm sorry. I have not listened yet. I have not caught up in the last couple of podcasts, so I have not heard anything about your trip to China. So I guess I won't ask you to repeat yourself here since you told it.
Oh, no, I'll tell it again then. I'll tell it again. It was awesome. It was fun. It was going to Hong Kong. It's like New York City with narrow streets, and the city is extremely tall. And it's very deep. It goes down, I think I counted like 3 subway levels. And everyone on the streets is basically walking. There's few cars. Cars are like a status symbol there. And there's a lot of trolleys and buses and subways. And you go under the one of the deepest ports in apparently the world. You go under it in the subway and you go under it in the cars, and it's an impressive city as far as how they engineered all this, because it's an old city that's been there for hundreds of years. And so,
right.
They have to feed and water, and, it's impressive how tight people can live and still be a friendly society, because you don't get that vibe in New York. New York is very curt, and they're very, down and to the point, They're very respectful, and if they bump into you, it's always sorry. They're very, very respectful people, but it's just as crowded as New York, and it's all Chinese people, and it was interesting. The first couple of days, I was like, maybe we could get an apartment here, and this could be a little vacation getaway for
Yeah. Your wife doesn't speak any Chinese. Did you say your wife is half Chinese? No.
She's half Chinese. She doesn't speak any Mandarin. There they speak Cantonese.
Okay.
But it was kind of tough. Like, I like getting out and kind of like going for runs and feeling the dirt beneath my feet. There it's just straight concrete. There are some hikes you can do, like in the mountains, but it's tough to get off the beaten path. After a week there, I'm like, Hong Kong ain't for me. Macau was cool, though. The poker was fun. I can see if you were a high-stakes cash pro, you could do very well in Macau.
Right.
But the bottom limits are like more than a 3-5 table. They're like a 3-6 table or 3-7 table, and you got to buy in for $700 every time.
No, okay. Well, I consider that.
The high limits, though, are very impressive. They get up, 100, 200, easy.
So, is poker's huge there? That's where a lot of people move to. There was the casino. The casino is nice. I'm sure the casino itself is nice too.
Well, there's no tournaments games. I did find a tournament. Poker Stars Live has some tournaments going on out there. So I did get to play those, but it was the only casino that was offering it during the time I was there. Like any tournaments, like not even daily tournaments would go.
Huh.
And but cash games start, it seems generally speaking, across Macau at maybe 4 or 5 different casinos, and you will have 2 to 3 tables, and they'll just be running from 3 in the afternoon until 4 in the morning. And there's some, like I said, the minimum is that one, but a lot of them. Their minimums are going to be something like a $25.50 or something, and it's so it's big buy-ins. So if you're like a high stakes cash pro, that I could see could be very lucrative. It's kind of expensive in Macau though, so you got to be regularly beating and doing well at those games. But yeah, it was really neat, really neat. It was cool. It was a fun trip. But,
there's a long trip for you too, Steve, huh?
I was ready to come home. The last day I was there, I got freaking gnarly food poisoning. I had to go to the hospital, dude. I had to get an IV just so I'd stop throwing up. Yeah, I couldn't even keep water down. I was so dehydrated, like my blood pressure was all low when I was standing up. It was I've never had to go to the hospital before from being sick, and that was I was just done. So that was
Oh,
maybe
that
a
would've been a nightmare,
medical bill
yeah.
because it was on New Year's and they had to call out a special. That was expensive, but I didn't have a choice. I wouldn't have made the flight the next day. I don't think it would have killed me, but I was concerned if I didn't go to a hospital that it might come to that. It was brutal.
Right.
Oh, but they gave me 9B medicine to make me stop throwing up, and then after that I could keep water down and actually hydrate. So it took about a day to get hydrated. It was a 24-hour thing. It was radical. But I'm back in one piece. So,
Well, that's good. Did you actually make money out there playing poker?
I made $287.
Nice.
So technically, yes. But yeah, there were some stiff buy-ins there. I added up later. I thought it was like, it was almost $2K worth of buy-ins, but it was cool. It was fun. Good deal. I was just glad to have the last little score because I got 5th in a tournament and the top 6 paid. And that paid back for all my buy-ins and then Scotia profit. But it was, there were some interesting ICM spots in those tournaments, but yeah, it was a good trip. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad to be home though, dude. I'm glad to have. I didn't realize how as soon as my wife and I walk into the house, we're like, "Wow, it's so big!" Because we're staying in a room, an apartment that. Let's see if I can describe this. You walk into a small hallway that's only about 2.5 feet wide. The whole left side of the apartment so far is unusable. That's part of the next apartment. You look into this little tiny bathroom to the left. It can't be more than like 20 square feet. And it's got a shower and a toilet. No, maybe 30 square feet. It's tiny. And you have this little tiny kitchen. And then you've got like a small little place for like a love seat couch and a TV like right in front of your face. And then you've got a double-sized bed. And it's just, it's so crowded, you know? And that was considered like a nice apartment. It was like 200 to 300 square feet, and that's counting the entryway that's not even part of the living space. It was tiny. But that was cool. It was cool. It was an experience. We won't be getting an apartment in Hong Kong, I don't think, anytime in our lifetime. It's not a place that very friendly people, a lot of fun, but I feel like I've seen it.
Right.
Move on to the next one. Yeah.
Well, the Barton business empire is growing, Steve. I mean, in 20 years, you're going to own properties in like 17 different countries.
You know what my goal is I actually want to Skype with you again and see what it looks like there because I think we're going to have like 3 houses. One kind of in the mountains somewhere, and which will probably end up being my parents' place because they live out in got a beautiful home up there. And then one in like a poker city like Vegas. And then another one, ironically, in something that looks like right about where you are, Mike. Something like that, you know?
Tropical,
I want like yeah, tropical, and kind of chase the summer. And when the monsoon season comes around, then we'll head off to the mountains or to Vegas or wherever, you know? They don't need any big places, but just a little spot that, you know, is fun.
Yeah, this island has an interesting history. I guess it's you cannot, the Westerners cannot own any land on the island.
I've seen that before. Yeah. Okay.
So it's like all the land is in a trust, and you can lease the land, kind of thing. And then, someone was explaining it to me. So like my buddy, you know, he built a nice house, but the house is his, the land isn't. Somehow, you know what I mean? So,
okay.
And yeah.
So yeah, okay. Yeah, I have run into things like that. I think it was in Indonesia. You could buy property, but you could only ever own 49% of it, and the Indonesian had to own 51.
Yeah, I don't know how it operates. It's kind of interesting. Yeah.
That doesn't really appeal to me that much. I think in Thailand, Westerners can buy property because I believe I met a guy that did it. You can, but you have to be married to a Thai girl. That's what it is. Yeah, so it kind of depends on what country you're in. Yeah, you're right. But in El Salvador, Westerners can buy property. I know that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it kind of
like
makes sense here if, yeah, I mean, it would be not even to like keep the hand in local, but just to not destroy the aesthetics of the island here. Otherwise you'd have Mark Zuckerberg immediately just buy out, change the entire look of the island. It's a small little 26 kilometers. He would buy half the island, build a house, and it's now Zuckerbergville, or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Get a guy like Don Laughlin and he would just take over the whole thing. Yeah. I don't know. Cool. Well, it sounds like you're having fun. How much longer are you out there?
Another week. I've been out here a week so far, pretty much. So
cool. How much poker
a lot of rain the last couple days. My buddy's really crushed because he started a cricket tournament out here. They never had it beforehand, and he got the money and and today was supposed to be the finals, and it's been pouring rain for a couple days and more rain today, and he had to cancel it because he really wanted me to see this cricket tournament.
That's a bummer.
And it's just him and his buddies out there, they pull out and, bring out, set up the barbecue and have all the cocktails and everything else and stuff, so.
It's just a giant reason to party.
Yeah, it sounded like it was going to be pretty spectacular. He's having a big Super Bowl party tomorrow too, though.
Oh, nice.
So
yeah, the Super Bowl is going to be 1 o'clock your time, right?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Because I think it's 3 o'clock here and you're 2 hours ahead.
Yeah, 2 hours behind, or yeah.
Or behind, yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be pretty psyched for the Super Bowl tomorrow.
Cool.
And, yeah, like I said, I'm disappointed I didn't go out last night. I got to, I've done my snorkeling. I've done, done the beach and gone to a couple nice restaurants and done the fishing. And, last night I was ready. I had my nice shirt on. I was ready to go meet some women. And I just, was stuck losing money at poker. If I did, and my buddy, of course, at least I was happy for him. He was in a game where you buy in for $100. He had like $1,100 in front of him.
Oh, good.
People were just spinning the wheels and not full. Twice he called with like a set on the turn when there was a flush there. It got all the money in when he was obviously behind. And got there in the river. So good for him. But
yeah. Is it pretty soft?
Oh, I mean, yeah, the games are ridiculously good. I was saying to you, I think even in a 1-2 game here, if I could get these games, and these guys play like every night, you should make like $50 an hour. Although they like the Omaha. It's usually half Omaha and half Nolan Hold'em.
Okay.
But so I would have to, twice. And I played really only 4 hands of Omaha last night. I did not win
poker all the time there. How many of them are playing?
Well, I've seen probably like 25 different faces so far, but it's like last night. There was like 8 or 9 guys there, and
really?
the previous night they had a tournament with 18 people there.
And how much was the tournament?
$150.
Huh.
It was pretty good. Everybody paid $160 and $150 to the prize pool, and $10 they ordered food and had a huge spread. It's pretty good.
Holy fuck. Okay, what exactly is the name of this place?
Rarotonga.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if poker's huge here. It's just this group of, these are all.
Yeah, it's just this group of, that sounds like a lot of freaking fun, dude.
Well, yeah, I mean, Steve, I'm Mr. Negativity here. I told you this trip was, my buddy was just refusing to let me pay. He bought the fishing charter. He's taking me out every time I've tried, and this trip is paid for.
Yeah.
I think I told you that. I'm staying cheap. I'm staying for free.
Yeah.
All I had to do was buy a $500 plane ticket, which is normally $1,900. So anyways, quickly is, the purpose of this trip was, I'm essentially broke. I'm going to have to go back and stop playing poker. This is my last reprieve before I had reinserted in the real world. And now I've gone and got raped a couple times playing poker here. So, but it has been fun. I mean, I was having. But the tournament was pretty good. They take their poker seriously. These guys have nice, nice chip sets and everything else. And
That's cool.
Tournament was 18, might have been 19. Someone might have got knocked out. And non-rebuy, it was a 20-minute levels, 20K in chips.
Okay.
And I thought it was too many chips. I said do 15-minute levels, but at the end it went from like I'm trying to think of some of the level jumps were pretty funny. I want to say it went from what was the last level I played? It went from 3,000, 6,000 to this is the one I remembered, from 3,000, 6,000 to 5,000, 10,000.
No, skip 4 and 8. Yeah.
So I went 4 and 8. So it's pretty much, you go from 10 to 5.5 bigs or whatever, you know what I mean? So, yeah, 4 people got paid and I went out 5th.
That's so frustrating.
And I was pretty much playing perfectly and just card dead. And, my buddy was down to 1 big blind and I shoved on him like a couple times and, doubled him up. And then redoubled them up, and then I can't remember. I mean, I played fine. Again, these guys have obviously, as you'd expect, just don't know the shove fold stuff at all.
Yes,
I mean, like not even in the ballpark. Because at the end, it was all between like 5 and 9 big blinds and stuff.
Yes,
and like my buddy shoved the button, and some guy tanked forever with like 6 bigs and folded ace king.
Oh my god.
I mean, we were on the bubble, I guess. I was still in it then. So maybe you could different, So that's a different sort of thing. But and then the other thing is, like Carlos in Vegas are saying, people, these old guys, they just get tired and they just want to make deals. They're just so happy to make the final table or make the money. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to help my buddy out because he was still kind of short after I got knocked out and I was dealing. And he had... I'm like, you guys could split it 4 ways here. Each get 800 or 675 each, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And my buddy's like, the guy who's like the massive chip leader is like, yeah, man, yes, let's do it. And
wow.
and my buddy Grant didn't do it. And right afterwards, they made a deal where one guy was should have been like fighting for at least an extra $100 or something, you know what I mean?
Something. Yeah, it's a grand. And
I want to say I'll just say he had 11 big blinds, and the other 2 had 6 or 7, so he didn't quite have them crushed. But I think he had lost he probably lost 500 in cash the previous night, so this was getting him back even kind of thing,
Okay. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I bubbled one of them. I think it paid 5, and I got 7th. I was just like, I hate it when that happens. Like, God, I just played for 9 hours and boop, nothing.
Right.
Yeah. Well, 6 spots too. I mean, the same thing. The guy was down to 1 big blind. I doubled him up. My king jack didn't beat his 2s or whatever the hell, and it just. Had him dead to rights with I had 15 bigs and he had 7, and I had 8-9 in the small blind. I completed. He checked, and the flop comes down. It was 3-5-9 or 3-5-8. I can't remember, but I got top pair, the middle kicker, and I know I got him dead to rights, right? So I check, knowing he's going to bet. He bets. I call, turns a 4, I check, and he's got 4 or 5 bigs at that point. He shoves, I snap call, he's got king 4, and then the river's, of course, a king. So now I'm down to 7. And then that guy knocks me out. I'm like, damn it, you were down to 1 big. And he just ran it up. Frustrating.
So, yeah, I lost, although I did get the one guy there who really... he knew I was coming and takes poker very seriously. He was showing me, he on his cell phone, he tracks every hand. Mm-hmm. Wow. He's writing it all down, and he travels, he travels for poker and this and that. So he was on next to me yesterday, and he was asking about a couple hands, and I mean, pretty basic stuff. There was an 8-3 deuce flop in Omaha where somebody made it 12, 12, 12, 12, and it came to him with $70 left, and he had the nuts. And he didn't raise.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He just called. He had pocket 8s and, with also aces. But he's like, he ended up folding on the turn when it was 3 to a straight now, which was, still, but, so he's asking about the hand. I'm like, well, you got the nuts, man. He's like, these guys don't fold. I'm like, exactly. That's why you just charge him for the flush. I'm like, you also had the ace blocker to the nut flush. And he wasn't really familiar with that term, you know what I mean? So I explained to him that, there's a less chance of the flush getting there. And I also said, well, some of these guys will call you with just an overpair or one, one pair and a weakish draw. So he got excited. He had another one with an open-ender. He kept showing his cards to me, so I'd comment. So another one where he had an open-ended straight draw in Omaha where he called. But it was, there was also 2 to a flush there, so I said, well, that probably takes 2 of your outs away. So you really had 6 outs rather than 8. And I said, you don't even have an out to the nut, you don't even have a draw to the nut straight. So you could get, I started breaking it down, nothing high, but quickly breaking it down. You could tell he was like, his eyes were aglow. He wanted to talk more poker with me.
Oh, that's cool.
So, one of those guys who loves poker, but, isn't hanging around with people who think about it too deeply and probably just watches a little on TV and doesn't, study it or talk with people who take it real seriously. So it's kind of worth it for
he wants to get better. He's writing down all his hands.
Yeah, I have to. I think he's probably just OCD too, or something. I don't know, but yeah. Oh wow! I was getting so excited that there's a splash of sunshine, and now it's torrential rain outside. But yeah, Steve. Sometimes I got to hop on a plane and travel 9.5 hours to find someone who finds me interesting or respects me. But I found somebody out here. Nice,
right on. Well done. Well done. Oh, we got new carpet in the house recently. Finally got it done. My dad taught me a saying, and he said, whenever you're hiring somebody for something, remember the words good, fast, and cheap. And he said, you can pick 2 of those. That's all you get. He said, if it's good and fast, it ain't going to be cheap. If it's cheap and good, it's not going to be quick. No, remember those 3: good, fast, and cheap. So right. I went to Home Depot and asked them what it would be, and they came out here and they said it'd be like $4,000, and then I found another guy and he said it'd be $2,880. Said he'd been doing it for 30 years. I'm like, all right, cool, done. Well, it wasn't. It was cheap, but it wasn't fast by any means. It took well over a month, and wasn't good either. So apparently you don't automatically get 2. It's good if you get 2. You may only get 1. So
you know what my father once told me?
What's that?
Whenever possible, when talking to someone, bring rugs into the conversation because it's just so fascinating. Talk about rugs whenever possible because it's good stuff, Steve. Sorry.
It just beats the shit out of carpet.
I'm off my humor game here. Yes, carpet. Oh, I'm sorry. Carpeting. Yes, carpeting, rugs. I don't know, Steve. I'll never be a homeowner. So. So are you asking these guys to repeat their work here? I mean, was it negligent or just?
Yeah. He did shit like the living room is 16 feet wide, so he bought a 16-foot section of it, but he probably picked up a guy from Home Depot and hired him for the day, and the guy cut it to 14 feet. So then he had to create a seam there in the whole living room. That one fuck up was just a domino effect because, when they buy these things, they buy them in huge, long rolls. And so they map it out, on paper where the cuts are going to go. So they buy the right length roll and the right width too. Well, when you go and cut one of those, and remove 15% of it off one long edge that's like 25 feet long, it fucks that whole dynamic up, right? So the rest of the house, there's little patchwork and shit here and there because one guy cut the biggest piece for the whole house wrong. And it just took him forever to do it. I kind of almost feel sorry for him too because that created an extra, probably 20 man hours of work on the back end from that one F up. But anyways, it's done. The carpet looks good now. There's just seams there that I know the carpet would have lasted an extra 5 years or something, if those seams if there's not 4 seams in the hallway. You know what I mean?
Well,
but
you
it's a
don't- you
lot
don't-
nicer
you
now.
don't
It used
ask
to
for
smell
some of
like
your
a
money
petting
back?
zoo because there was. What's
Right.
that?
You don't ask for some of your money back though when it's not first rate job, or no?
You know, maybe I should have. In my mind, I was just like, I just want this fucking done, and I don't want to have to deal with these guys anymore. You know, just get out of my life, whatever. For less than $3,000, we got new carpet in here. The house does not smell like a petting zoo anymore, which was freaking horrific. We got new tack strips all down. The finished product is kind of nice. It was just forever to get there. And meanwhile, I got all my shit in the garage. I'm trying to podcast while this is going on without an office. It was just, yeah, I'm glad.
So you're just happy to have it done, and
Yeah, exactly. It's like, let's just be done with this. And I can move on to the next project and relax a little bit and enjoy the new smell of the home. So, but yeah, it was. We got our taxes done the other day. I'm a little worried about what my CPA was saying because he's like, this year you have. We did really good with keeping track of all our receipts and stuff, which I always do, but this year especially. And Alejandra's learning quick. She didn't have to do taxes down in Colombia, but she does up here, and she's learning quick too. But he's like, you have so many different avenues going here. He's like, you've got your job, her new job, which has a shit ton of write-offs because she had to get an apartment in freaking Dallas for it, and the Amazon business. He's like, starting up a new business always throws up a red flag with the IRS. And the fact that I just closed it, he's like, one that opens and closes with so many write-offs may be a red flag too. So,
between Amazon and your job and your rental properties and your wife's income, Steve, let's. I'm going to say you make 15, about $135,000 a year. Am I close?
Let's see. I can tell you. Okay, hang on. Let's see. One.
I mean, I
70 to 180.
Okay. Well, I was drawing it low. Just. I know you got a lot of expenses, Steve, but when you declare, when you're trying to pay like $400 in income tax.
Okay.
Sam. I feel a Trump rant coming on here. You know what I mean?
You know what? I will say this about Trump. So far, okay, I'm very glad Hillary's not in there. Okay, but when I was in Hong Kong, I kept seeing him on the news, but it's all in Cantonese and there's no translation, so I don't know what the hell they're talking about. But I know he's taken office, and I haven't bothered to Google my phone and get news any other way. So just don't care. Anyways, we get back to LAX, and I hear like people chanting, as I'm coming out, and I'm like,
Barton sucks. Barton sucks. Oh no, it's probably something else. Yeah,
I'm sure it was something else.
Okay.
And, I was like, wow, that's a group of people that just sounds pissed. And so I'm coming out, and we go through customs and everything, and there's a bunch of people standing there with signs that say, I am a lawyer. If you had trouble getting into this country, come talk to me. And then it was like written below in Farsi as well. I'm all, that's odd. So we get back. Anyways, I end up talking to my buddy and then starting to be infiltrated with the news and my parents, and they're like, no, I guess he stopped, some people coming in that I don't think he stopped anyone with green cards, but I think a lot of like tourist visas and fiance visas, I think those just got put on hold. And, I don't know what his reasoning is. I think our country as a whole kind of needs to have like a different, it just doesn't seem like he's making any friends. Does that make sense?
Right. Well, I mean, that's the president. His presidency. There's no way if he follows through on any of his promises, specifically with the immigration stuff. The presidency, of course, was going to be wildly contentious, and just because of his personality, it was going to be. So there's really nothing. No, yeah. I mean, I actually agree. Like people, stop the Muslim ban, and Trump said this is a 90-day travel ban to, assess, do a threat analysis, assessment.
Okay, so he's only doing it for 90 days.
Yeah, I think. I'm not the person.
Okay,
to talk
I
to.
didn't. I wasn't sure if there
Steve.
was no expiration date or what. Okay, all right. Okay, I guess that's not.
The courts have ended that though. A federal judge put a stop to it, so it'll be fought through the courts. But basically, no. This is what Trump and his will say. It wasn't a Muslim ban, although during the campaign he vowed to ban Muslims. This is, Somalia, Yemen, some of the more chaotic. I mean, I don't know why Iran would be on that list, frankly. I mean, I know we don't have a great, but there's a lot of Iranians, citizens and all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, here's the thing, though, when you say not making friends, there's no doubt, and it's funny, I'm talking to a lot of these guys out here who are like Kiwis in Australia. They're a lot different than like Western Europe, who kind of doesn't like America.
Yeah.
They look down on Americans. They aren't like that here. My one buddy explains it. He's like, that's because they got balls here. I don't know. They're just less PC, you know what I mean? So they agree with the one guy, they agree with Trump on the Muslim, terrorist kind of shit and a lot of things.
Okay.
But one guy's he's like the Trump, he just doesn't have respect for anyone. You know what I mean? He's just looking to, the president of the United States should be someone who's looking to solve problems and get people not to fight.
Yeah,
he kind of just seems like he wants
and friendly, and be able to walk into a room. What Obama had was very nice. He could walk in a room and everyone liked him.
Well, no, there's a lot of people that hate Obama. That's why Trump's president. I mean, there's only so much personality can do to transcend the job. I mean, Trump's going to be doing some things that are wildly unpopular here, and people are just going to hate him for it. And maybe some of them need to be done. I don't know. Well, it's funny. You can tell I'm not pro, but all my buddy is wildly conservative. So I'm just listening to all his stuff time. And you know what I mean. I'm agreeing with a lot of the things he's saying. But I still think the Trump presidency is going to have a lot of problems with it, and we'll see.
Yeah, it seems like he's handling stuff wrong, with the way he talked to the Mexican president, and there was a little girl. I got pulled off from customs because I forgot to pull a banana out of my backpack, and we're going through a line, and there's this mom there with her little daughter. Her daughter was probably 5 years old, and she had a sniffly nose, and the mom reaches into her purse and pulls out a little plastic, container with a little plastic bag with tissues in it. And she pulls out her last tissue and gives it to her daughter. And this is obviously not going to be enough. I mean, this kid's just a snotty mess. And I remember thinking, I'm like, oh, I have exactly one of those in my backpack. So I reach into my backpack and I pull out a new one and I hand it to the mom. And then, now she's got tissues for her kid, at least to get her to the hotel. And I remember thinking at that moment as I'm going through this horrible freaking customs section, and I'm just reminded of the DMV. It's completely inefficient, and I'm like, this is what Trump could use. He doesn't have that. You know what I mean? That little thing of seeing that with the daughter, and then reaching in and giving the tissues to him. You know what I mean? He doesn't have that personable, friendly. He's just, this is the way it is rough, and just, I think a little bit of that would go a long way in his leadership and presidency. Right.
Well, I mean, the law is the law, I guess, Steve. You can't at least ask the people on the front line to when you're looking at people's passports, try to see who's having a bad day. Try to see who's just feeling a little sniffly and doesn't have time for customs. You know what I mean? It can't be judge the emotional, yes. 3 people are driving 100 miles per hour. We only need the revenue from 2 of these tickets. See which one of them has a soul of a poet and just, ask them to drive slower. I don't know, Steve. Whatever. I had the same travel issue though, because my sister, I'm like the reactionary of the family here, which is kind of funny. But my sister is, Yeah, she's been on perpetual outrage. She's like, I can't raise a family with Trump as president, And she was trying to convince me I should not pay taxes and we should give our money to some sort of revolutionary organization who will actually take over. You know what I mean? Left-wing guerrillas. And the day of my trip, there was these spontaneous, these sort of semi-spontaneous, the day the ruling went in, protests at the airport. And my sister's like, she's like, I want to shut the airport down. If these people can't come in, nobody should be allowed to travel. So I was like, fuck this nonsense. This was about 10 hours before my flight took off. My sister was explaining what she was doing that day. I'm like, if these assholes cancel my flight, I'm going to go out and freaking kick some commie in the nuts. But, yeah, no, there was some protesters at LAX, but it was, a small, manageable crowd.
Okay, cool. Not enough people to make a difference. Nice. Oh, I did run into, when I was out in Hong Kong, this flashy light tangent, and I came across some dinosaur eggs. I walked into some dinosaur eggs.
Yep.
I walked into a little store, and down on the floor, the lady had a sign for 80 million-year-old dinosaur eggs. And I'm like, huh. And we were just at a museum the day before, and I saw dinosaur eggs, and they looked exactly like these ones, same size, everything. And so I was looking at them. I'm like, look, that does look like a dinosaur egg. So I go back to the hotel. I do a bunch of research online and find out there's very specific things that you look for, like little tiny pinholes where the water and stuff was able to go in and the rock was able to go in, and then what the shells looked like and all that. And then I found out that there was a huge excavation about 3 hours from there. And they found something like 17,000 dinosaur eggs, and they were all about this size. And I thought, well, it's probably not unbelievable that 10 of them could have made it down here, out of 17,000 just 3 hours away, And so I went back and I started asking the lady about where she got it from and who she got it from. And she didn't really know where they came from, but she said that she bought them from a guy that was traveling the area. And I was like, okay. And then I got to thinking, I'm like, I did some more research. And then I was like, I found out that these could actually be something like, chicken eggs can fossilize in 200 years. So there's a lot of time in between, 65 million years ago when the dinosaurs were around and now. And so this could be an ostrich egg. This could be any kind of egg. You know what I mean? Anywhere from 200 years back. And I didn't pull the trigger. I could have got one. She was selling them for like $250 a piece. And I probably could have jewed her down to maybe like $150, But I don't know. I'm kind of wondering if those really were some of the dinosaur eggs from that site, or if it was just some other egg.
I mean, I'm sounding skeptical. I mean, rather than trying to identify them, did you Google, dinosaur eggs for sale? I mean, is that something you can even buy out there? And if it could be like an item where like one, Bill Gates owns one, which cost him like $9 million because they're so rare. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Did. Yeah, actually, I threw out a post, and Chris Fox, he came on the podcast, episode 60, and he said that he's trying to buy dinosaur eggs. The cheapest ones he could find were on eBay, and they were like $600. And then I did similar research and found the same thing. So it wasn't like an amazing freaking deal. But I don't know. I just kind of wanted a dinosaur egg. I think that'd be kind of cool. Keep it like by the fireplace or something.
Right.
Dinosaur egg.
Okay.
But I was so sick from the day before. I thought to myself, I'm like, we're going to the airport. And now it's approaching hour probably 30. I haven't had anything to eat because I've been throwing up and just, I got radical food poisoning. And I'm like, I do not want to walk half a mile up a bunch of stairs to negotiate a dinosaur egg and then walk back and then have to go to the airport. Like I was in no shape, and I was like, damn it. But looking back now, I wish I had somehow just pushed through it and done it. That would have been cool to have one of those. I could take it to a museum, I'm sure, and have some guy look at it. And he'll either go, "Oh no, this is like an ostrich egg," or "Well, you never know," because you can get them X-rayed and then see if they have like a fetus inside or something.
I'm seeing here a hadrosaur dinosaur egg on sale online, 100 million years old for $850.
Oh, there you go.
So I guess it has a stamp of certificate of authenticity from China, whatever that's worth. This is from China too. Okay. So I don't know, man.
How big does it look?
The egg measures 6.5 inches by 6 1/4 inches by 5 inches high, so it's big.
That's what these were. That's what these were. They were for our fellows across the pond that are in stones or whatever. Basically, take your two fists, if you're an average size guy, and put them together, and that's a little bit smaller than it was.
So, Steve, for your birthday, you asked me if I could get you some leather chaps. Do you want to change that and get a dinosaur egg instead? Sorry.
In addition to, Mike,
in addition to, jeez.
Yeah, don't throw away the chaps.
That's a tough choice, I understand.
Yes. That would be a cool gift. I might be going back. If I go back to China and for whatever reason we got to fly out of Hong Kong, I'm going back to that place. I'd like to see if they're still there. But she had like 10 of them, and she had a group of 3 of them too. But you run a risk bringing them back too, because I don't think you're allowed to bring any in from another country. And so if I do something stupid and forget a banana in my bag again, then I got to run through customs, and they'll definitely find it. But yeah.
Okay, homie. I think I want to go off to get my free breakfast here.
Okay. All right.
keep milking this island.
Talking with you, Mike.
And I'll talk to you. And you can check my Twitter and Facebook here. Hopefully, I'll have some more adventures to share via video. I love that GoPro. That GoPro I have, man, is just I love that thing.
Good. Right on, brother. All right. Well, you take care, and I'll be in touch.
Okay, man. Talk to you soon. Yep.
All right.
Bye.
I got supersonic speed that I used to run to you. I stretch my arms for.
Well, it was good to talk to Mike. Make sure that he's still alive. I haven't heard from him in a while, but I'm a little jealous. I do love the beaches like that. I have a quick strategy hand for you guys. It's another one that I played at the Poker Stars Live out in Macau. I didn't talk about it the last 2 weeks, but I've kind of been thinking of it, and I ran through it. Now that I'm back home, I can plug it into Slice and run some ranges. But first, I want to tell you about Tournament Poker Edge. Yes, TPE. If you really want to get better at tournaments and you want to get better at your tournament game, there's no better place than the community of Tournament Poker Edge. It's just that. It's a community. It's a group of people that get together on forums and talk hands. A lot of the people that I've had on the podcast I've met through Tournament Poker Edge. I've met Mike Snyderman there. We wouldn't have this podcast if it wasn't for them. I really believe in their training site. It's an awesome community. They have videos that you can watch, training videos. They come out with almost one a day of training videos. Awesome site. You guys can check it out through the link in the show notes or just go to tournamentpokeredge.com. If you guys sign up, use the codes depending on if you're going to sign up for a month or for a quarter or for a year. Score yourself a little discount and use the code HUP month, HUP quarter, and HUP year. That will score you a little discount, send some back to the podcast, and it's a win-win. Okay, on to the strategy hand. Okay, this is from the 2,000 Hong Kong dollar buy-in, which is about $280 or something like that. Okay, we have pocket jacks. We've got jack of clubs, jack of spades in the cutoff. Okay, blind levels are 100, 200, and so it folds to us. All right, we elect to raise. We raise to 250. We get a call on the button from the villain in the hand for 250, and the small blind and big blind fold. Okay, this villain, he's I've mentioned him before. He's probably the second best player at the table. He has, we've both got about 9,000 effective. We're within 100. It's like the second level of the tournament. And yeah, so we're basically at 9,000 starting stack, so we've each got about 90 big blinds. His range here, I think, are a lot of suited connectors, all pairs, Broadway cards. He could have pairs higher than ours. That would be something that he could do. I think most of the time there he would re-raise those because he's a loose aggressive player. Most of the time he's re-raising with things like aces, kings, queens, hands that are better than ours. Ace, king, probably even ace, queen. But I think about 20% of the time he's calling with those just to, throw a wrench into the system. And a lot of suited cards, all the way down to queen 10, jack 10, 9 10, all that stuff. 5 6 suited, stuff like that. Okay, so that's his range going to the flop. All right, we go to the flop. Again, we got 2 black jacks, jack of clubs, jack of spades, and the flop is 2 3 4 with all red, and we have 1 heart. So it must have been 2 of diamonds, 3 of hearts, and 4 of diamonds. I went off a voicemail note, and I didn't say the exact suits, but they do come into play later in the hand. So remember that there's 1 heart out there. And 2 diamonds. We lead out. We lead out for 275, and villain doesn't think too long, and he calls. Okay, so at this point, I think he could be floating us here with his entire range. He'd be the kind of player that would float 1 and then see what you do on the turn. So I think he's floating there with quite a bit, quite wide. We go to the turn now, and the turn is the 4 of hearts. So we got 2, 3, 4, and then 4. All right, and we have 2 hearts out there, the 3 of hearts and the 4 hearts. At this point, I think that the board is getting increasingly worse for us. The flop wasn't exactly what we were looking for. We much would have rather had something like, 2, 4, 9. But, this is what we're dealt. So 2, 3, 4, 4. At this point, do we lead out or do we check? There's 1,200 in the pot. We've each got about 80, what would that be, 84 behind. I think it's, I elected to keep the pot small here. And I didn't want to bloat the pot with just a 1-pair hand. I think that this also gives the villain a chance to bluff here, which is something that he would definitely do. It allows him to maybe believe that his 7s are good, that his 8s are good, that his 9s are good. And it lets him, bluff off with stuff like, maybe he thinks I'm doing this here with king queen, and he's got something like ace 2 or ace 3, and he believes his pair is good now. So we check, and villain bets pretty small. He bets into 1,200. He bets 400. So going with our original plan, I don't think we can ever fold here. We're getting there's 1,600 in the pot, and it's 4 for us to call, so we're getting 4 to 1. I think there's nothing to do here but call. We don't have any kind of heart blocker or anything, but we got jacks on a board of 4 high. So we call. And the river is arguably the worst card in the deck. It's a 5 of hearts. An ace might have been worse. Maybe. I think an ace might have been better. Well, we'll see. The river's 5 of hearts. So the final board is 2, 3, 4, 4, 5 with backdoor flush coming in. We check, and I thought about going for a little blocking bet here. I thought about going for something like, 750 or 800. And I decided against it. I don't know why at the moment, but I did. I go for the check. At this point, he pauses for a minute, and then he says something in Cantonese, and at that point, the dealer starts spreading the pot. So at this point, he basically asked for how much was in the pot, and the dealer spread it out so he could count it. There's $2K in the pot, and Villain thinks for a while, and then he very carefully reaches back and he leads out for $2K. So, what do we do here? We have pocket jacks on a 2, 3, 4, 4, 5 board where the backdoor flush came in. What does this bet amount mean, and how often do we need to be good here? Okay, so what we do is we take the size of the pot before he bet. That was 2,000. And then he bet 2,000, so now there's 4,000 in the pot. And for us to call, it would be another 2,000. So, what percentage of the time do we need to be good? If you add 2,000 and 2,000 from his bet, you get 4,000. And I think where a lot of players might make a mistake here is they say that, okay, there's 4,000 in the pot and it's 2,000 for me to call. That means I need to be good 50% of the time. Well, not quite. You actually need to be good 33% of the time, and here's why. You have to include your call as well. So there's actually going to be, you're calling 2,000 to win 6,000. So you take 2,000 divided by 6,000 and you get 1/3, or you need to be good 33% of the time, not 50%. So what kind of range can we give this guy? I plugged into, once I got home now, I'm back to work and everything, I plugged into Slice, an equity calculator. You can get that free online. Just type in Slice or Equilab, one of those programs. They're pretty much all the same. And I plugged in a range of all pairs. So I went aces through deuces, and I also threw in a 5-4 suited, 6-5 suited, and 7-6 suited, which all of these you'll notice beat us because they're all straights or full houses. And I put in ace-5, ace-4, ace-3, ace-deuce suited. So basically here he's betting all these hands that I plugged into his range beat us except for 10s, 9s, 8s, and 7s, which I kind of left in to run this calculation to keep those in. There is going to be a percentage of time that this player is going to bluff. And if you go by the Dan Harrington 10% rule that just automatically assigned 10% of any player a bluffing range, then this would more than compensate for that. So basically the 7s, 8s, 9s, and 10s are bluffing hands. 10s he could be betting for value there on the river. That would make a lot of sense. Possibly 9s as well, but I think that's kind of a stretch. My hand looks fairly face up, I think, and I think it's fairly obvious what I have, just the way this hand is played out. So I plug that range into Equilab, and I press play. And we get 31% for us and 69% for Villain. So when you kind of play around with this is extremely close because we need 33% to call here. So if we take out one of the hands, like let's say we take out 7s, like he's going to check behind on the river, and then we press OK, and then we press play again. Now it drops down all the way to 25 because we've removed 6 combinations from his range. If we add something like, let's say we put 7s back in and we add something like king, queen off, that adds another 6 combos to his range, and our percentage pops up to 40-60. So this is really close. I could see it going either way, and I knew it was close in the moment, and I obviously didn't have Slice in front of me where I could plug this in and have 10 minutes to dissect it. But in the moment, I folded, and I think it was a good fold. In scenarios like this where it's so close, I just try to get a feel for, I take my time and I try to get them talking. And if they don't talk, usually you can pick up something. And I just got the feeling, live read, that this guy had it. He was trying to put out a little value bet, and he could have bluffed me, and if he did, well played, sir. But I just felt like I was beat there, so I let it go. And that's something I don't think I could have done a year ago. You know, there was times where I was finding myself calling to prove myself right. And I think this might be a step where I'm starting to conquer that. So it was a neat hand. It was a fun tournament, fun time to play, and I believe I made the right move. But that's the thing about poker, you just never know. You never know. But speaking of folding when you're beat, maybe this is where it came from. Elliot Rowe. He has an MP3 for that, and yes, I've listened to it about 30 times, and maybe that influenced me on this hand. I don't know. But you guys can get a free 7-minute tilt buster. It's an MP3. Put it on your phone, and you listen to it before you play. You need to have a warm-up routine, something that you do, a routine, a success ritual that you do before you start to play poker to get yourself in the right mindset before you play. If you're not thinking right, if you're sidetracked, you're not going to be on your A game, and you're not going to be playing your best, which means it's going to end up costing you money. And this is free. It costs nothing. Try it. You can put it on your phone. I was a little bit apprehensive about these at first simply because of the technology. I'm not very technically complicated, or not very technically competent. And but just about anybody could do it. I mean, I did it. I as technically incompetent as I have a podcast, so it can be figured out. And if you have any trouble with it, I've got the guy who is in charge of all the back end of it. His name is Ryan Carter, and he's very helpful. I can give you his Skype information and his phone number, and you can call him up, and he'll walk you right through it so you can put it on your Android. Very easy. 7-minute tilt buster by Elliot Rowe. PokerMindCoach.com, and if you purchase one, use the code HUPOKER, and you'll score yourself a little 10% off, and you kick back some to the podcast. So, without further ado, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for your tweets. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for your reviews, and I will talk to you next week. Here is your weekly motivational speech.
What I'd like for you to do right now, I want you to think about your dream. Think about your dream right now and envision it. I don't know what that dream is that you have. I don't care how far-fetched it might appear to be. I don't care how disappointing it might have been as you've been working toward that dream. But here's what I know, that dream that you're holding in your mind, that it's possible. See, sometimes we can't say, I can do that. But what we can say, that it's possible that I can have my dream as we run toward it, as we work on it day in and day out. And most people don't work on their dreams. Why? They stop growing, they stop working on themselves, they stop stretching, they stop pushing themselves. These are not risk takers. Most people have done all that they're ever going to do. They raise a family, they earn a living, and then they die. But people who are running toward their dreams, life has a special kind of meaning. That in the process of working on your dreams, you are going to incur a lot of disappointment, a lot of failure, a lot of pain, a lot of setbacks, a lot of defeats. But in the process of doing that, you will discover some things about yourself that you don't know right now. What you'll realize is that you're more powerful than you could ever begin to imagine.
Align yourself with people that can encourage you, people that can empower you, people that you can learn from, people that you can grow from. Look at your life, look at where you want to go. Don't worry about your circumstances. Don't worry about your age. See, it's time now. If you want to make this your decade, you've got to start saying yes to your life. You've got to start saying yes to your dreams. Yes to your unfolding future. Yes to your potential. Why not? The future is unfolding for you right now. The future is unlimited for you right now. No one knows where you can go. No one knows what you're capable of or what's possible for you. We have the power to change our personal history, changing the direction of our lives, changing our thoughts, changing where we want to go, exploring new horizons. So as you begin to look at this decade and affirming that this is your decade, as you set goals that will make you stretch, that will bring out the best in you, as you begin to remove the negative, toxic people from your life, as you decide to take some chances in life. And that's one of the things that's very important. Viscott said, if you're not willing to risk, you cannot grow. And if you cannot grow, you cannot become your best. And if you cannot become your best, you cannot be happy. And if you can't be happy, then what else is there?